Well, welcome to another Wake Up Humans podcast where we're waking people up to their passion and purpose in life by getting them clear between the ears, baby. So how you doing, Drew Henderson? Love you, brother.
Man, I am doing great. Love y'all too. It's been a great Monday again, man. I mean, I know I sound like a broken record,
Yeah.
but isn't that how life is, man? It's a wonderful Monday.
Well, it's a blessing that you could keep saying it, man, because it's
Mhm.
a fact. Like we're blessed to have the walk in life that we have.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean it doesn't get tiring. This morning I have like a little men's group. We meet 6:30 in the mornings, and with a time change, I'm like I can't miss this morning. We're going to start like on a new book. Like, gotta wake up. So like every 20, 30 minutes, I was popping my head up, looking at the clock. So at 4:15, 4:20, I just got up.
Wow.
I'm like, heck with it. Let's go. So
I
it's
love it.
just time. And I wasn't going to hit the snooze button. I knew you wasn't going to hit the snooze button, but we've got work to do.
Amen. We do got work to do, man, and we gotta grind it. So you texted me today and you said the word that was coming to your mind was roadblocks.
Oh yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, what an appropriate day for that. And I talked about I think I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast or if I put a reel out about how they shut the side road going into my office down because they were digging up the road.
Hmm.
And the same thing happened to me in Connecticut. The first month I bought my building, they shut the whole road down to tear the road up. So I'm turning right into that road to go to my building and the road's closed. I'm like, you can't make this shit up, man. Like, come on. And
Yeah.
we still turned out our busiest week last week. And then today I'm getting showering, getting out, and Tammy texts me, "You better leave early. The traffic is insane." So it was like another roadblock, and we could talk about that.
Yeah, and like one of the biggest ones you had traveling was this past weekend. What, Friday coming to Atlanta?
Yeah, we just had a great experience at Life University. We had a big group of students where we got to do a little DE intensive with them. And man, getting in front of those kids and spending the day with them was just really cool, man. Being the older dudes in the room now. These kids are awesome.
Oh yeah, and they were fired up.
Yeah.
Got to see some third generation DE chiropractic students there. Little Rassel was there, so
Yeah.
that was awesome, man.
She's a doll. She's a
That was
doll.
awesome, and she had to bounce for a minute, but then she come right back. I mean, just she's a busy little bee.
She's
All of them
adorable.
are.
She had to go study for a test next week, she was saying. And I'm like, it's Saturday.
Yeah.
She's ahead of the game, man. I never did that. God bless her. God bless her,
No, no,
but
I just wing it, bro. I just wing it.
we always said innate provides. That's why I tell kids, don't let school get in the way of your education. But they're maybe a little more committed on the grades than we were, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, all of y'all that are listening, if you don't know, Steve left early Friday, going to get to Atlanta Friday afternoon. You didn't get to your hotel room till 4:30, 5 o'clock Saturday morning.
I've for those that know me, I've been until recently been flying every week. So I
Hmm.
had 4.5 years where I was on a plane every single week.
Yep.
This was the worst flight experience I've ever had. I mean, this goes down. Whoop, there goes my phone falling. This goes down as easily the worst travel experience ever. We took off. We were a little bit delayed. The plane coming in was a little delayed coming in, and as we were approaching Atlanta, they said, "Hey, there's some storms going on, so we're going to circle." And we're circling and circling. And I was watching a movie, and the girl next to me had the flight pattern thing on. You could just see this blue circle. I'm like, "What is she watching that for?" Next
Yeah.
thing you know, they said, "Hey, listen, we're running out of gas. We're going to reroute. We're going to go to Alabama, and we're going to fuel up." So we land in Alabama. We sat on the runway in Alabama for 3 hours waiting for a fuel truck. They said it's a small airport. Other planes had the same idea. 3 hours just sitting there in the middle of nowhere.
Dang.
Then they fuel us up. We take off. We make it into Atlanta. We land. And he said, "We have a problem. There's no place to put our plane because so many planes got grounded from the storm. And now
Yep.
it was later at night." We sat out on the runway for almost 4 hours.
Man, you were on a plane on the ground, not in the air, for over 7 hours.
7 hours, brother. So we finally
Man.
get out, and I got to the hotel at like 4:30 in the morning. And we had to be ready to start and like and listen, I had to MC, had to, I said. And
Yeah,
you stepped in and said, let me help out. And let me tell you, you gotta be a new DEMC, bro. I was so appreciative because he said, well, I don't want to push you aside. I'm like, dude, take over. And you took over the rest of the day. And I was
yeah,
really grateful for that, man, because it was the energy was tough for me to keep it running.
yeah. I mean, it takes energy. Like people don't. I don't really care to MC. I don't mind it, but I sure don't want to either.
Yeah.
But because it's work, it's not just getting up there. You have to do a little research on each speaker, like when they graduate school, like some
Yeah.
stuff that they're doing to be able to introduce them right. So it's
You don't have to do that, but you do that
yeah.
because you care. If you want to be connected to who you're introducing, which is
Hmm.
great. I mean, I saw you doing that. I saw you sitting in the back on your phone, researching, looking up people, and you did an amazing job, bro. It was like, wow, this is awesome.
Well, thank you. And you know this. It's not us. We're just trying to be humble servants, be a hollow bone. Let love live through us, and then just go do it. You know,
But you
just
also
simple.
realize the job of an MC is to elevate the energy of the room
Yeah.
because the whole day is about removing roadblocks from these kids' brains, right? To get them from their head to their heart, to teach them
Hmm.
what real chiropractic is so they could go off and have an amazing, abundant life like we've been blessed to do.
Yeah.
So that
And
energy you put into that, you're doing that for one reason only is to add value to that room.
yeah, and that's it. And these kids need to know, like, just get through school, guys and gals. Just get through school, get that grade, get past your boards, and go crush it in life. There's too many people living subluxated not to do that.
Oh, listen, and it's all, how do you handle roadblocks? I think you said to me earlier, how did you do it? I said, I just did it. You just
Yeah.
don't overthink it. I had this young girl sitting next to me. She was sharp. Her name was Brittany, and her job is she's a contractor for sports. And she's the
Hmm.
one that sits at the keyboard when they say, switch to camera one, switch to camera two, hit the replay, go to this screen. And she showed me a picture of this board. It didn't even fit on her entire picture. It was massive. There was couple thousand buttons, all yellow, green, red, lined up. The woman next to her in the window would kind of make little chirps, and she said, "Well, we're blessed. Everything's okay. It could be worse. I'd rather not fly through the storm." And the little girl, she had to be at work by 5 o'clock. She was going to the Villanova Xavier basketball game, and then I think
Yeah.
she was flying out to do an NBA game, and then flying somewhere else to do a golf tournament. And she was so positive. I said, "Your parents did a hell of a job with you." And she was one girl of five kids. She had four brothers, and we had a nice conversation. It was nice.
Hmm.
People said, were people going nuts on the plane? Actually, no. And there were
Yeah.
some young kids that were amazing.
Yeah.
And the pilots handled it amazing. They kept giving us updates, which was really, he's like, there's no update. I'm sorry. And the
Hmm.
stewardesses kept handing out drinks and just, they were very light. It wasn't as stressful as you would think it was. When you talk about it now, you're like, crap, like that sucked. But your
Yeah.
mentality and how you look at it is the key.
Yeah, we have to see the positive things in it because the things that we plan, talking about roadblocks, the path that we're taking, we're going to have roadblocks. It's not whether or not if they're going to come, like they are. It's just when are they going to come, and when they come, we better be able to deal with them.
Well,
You know.
the mentality I'm in the growth mode with the office
Hmm.
and Miami Trail, it's Highway 41 is a major thoroughfare,
Hmm.
basically from Tampa to Miami. That's why they call it Tampa Miami. It was a parking lot for hours from 8 this morning when I pulled in. You couldn't go anywhere. I was fortunate to be able to pull off onto the grass and get into my building. And
Hmm.
I'm like, shit, God, like this is no joke. How's this going to affect our volume today? And people started walking in and they were talking about how a 20-minute drive was a 70-minute drive, but they wanted to come in and get checked. So, every patient we talked to, because you literally look out the window, was a parking lot. What
Yeah.
caused the problem was way out on I-75 this morning. A giant construction truck carrying
Hmm.
stone. His hatch, the lift was lifted up that when he drove, he hit the
Oh
overhang
dang.
of a bridge and the stone and truck flipped and went all over the highway where the highway was shut down. So everyone got rerouted. So I told people that's symbolic of an atlas subluxation. This is miles away,
Yeah.
and look at all the distortion it's causing and disruption.
Mhm.
And they were like, brilliant. I get it.
Yeah, and that roadblock doesn't have to be a runway. It doesn't have to be Highway 41. It's a physiological roadblock when that medulla oblongata is locked in that medullary lock at Atlas. It's impossible to be healthy when that happens.
Yeah.
Impossible.
And the little blessing was it got a little slow at one point, and we have this little 84-year-old lady. She loves to talk and she wants to share, but a lot of times it's been busy when she comes in. Well, today she sat on the table and started talking, and I just listened and let her. We
Yeah,
got to, I asked her, I mentioned about getting her on the podcast,
that'd be
and
awesome.
she's talked about how she kept using the word awareness
Mhm.
and how she's waking up. And she said, I'm on page of 109 of your book, Wake Up Humans. And I got to go back and look at 109 and see what it says. And she says, people need to know about this. This is different. This is awakening people. It's not
Yeah.
the chiropractic that she learned about years ago. And she was a challenged little girl. She got one of the worst scoliosis I ever saw. She said when she would get dressed, she could never wear a dress with a big zipper on the back because it would sway like an S. But she sat there and spoke for a good 25 minutes that I took notes
Oh,
on what she
dang.
was saying. And one of the key lines she said is we find our growth and our path within our journey through chaos. I was like, wow, because she said the universe was created through chaos. And I guess if we don't see the chaos as a roadblock, but as
Mhm.
a means to grow, life will be much better. I mean, what a we got to I said, do you know how to use what is it, Zoom? She
Yeah.
said yes. She was a teacher at Eastern Michigan. She taught female studies. She's sharp as a tack.
Yeah, we have to get her on. Have to
Yeah,
get her on.
yeah, I'll arrange it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You
Just
know,
be ready to
and
sit back and listen.
yeah, and just let her do and just share her experience and wisdom.
Yeah, yeah,
And there's so much to learn from people if we
right.
just listen to them.
It's amazing. It's
You know?
amazing, man. The blessings. I mean, it's like what's one person's roadblock is another one's recognition that they're growing.
Yeah, and chiropractic from the beginning faced opposition, and we still are.
Right.
But now we're facing more opposition from internal means rather
Yeah.
than external.
Yeah, yeah. I was
You know.
talking to my new doc working with me today, and we were talking about that. And it's I heard someone give a podcast or something once, and they said, when someone starts making $10 million a year, or once they start making 10 million, whatever it was, their brain chemistry changes. They change
Mhm.
as a person because you're looking back what's going on with all these files and these freaks that have more money than God, and the shit they're doing. It's like, how do you do that? It's almost like there's nothing left and they're bored. And we were talking about chiropractors and past leaders and guys that were successful in chiropractic doing a bunch of garbage now in their office. And she's
Mhm.
like, why? I said, I think they just get bored
Yeah.
and they just need the next thing.
Yeah.
Something must happen in their brain. It doesn't make sense.
No, it's like a dopamine hit,
Right,
just like a dopamine. It's just like these people that will cheat on their spouses. It's
right,
not that they're really attracted to this other person or whatever. I don't mean I'm just meaning in general.
right,
Sometimes it's just they want the thrill of doing something and not getting caught, doing
right.
something that's wrong.
Well, they got a roadblock in integrity too, man. It's not to say we're all human. I'm reading a great book now. I forget the name of it, something about empowerment. And basically, it's just realizing we're all human. We all suck and we're going to make mistakes. We're all sinners.
Mhm.
No one's perfect. It's a matter of time before you're going to find out someone's BS. But
Yeah.
it's how much you're going to let yourself, like what core values do you live by? Are you going to let yourself, we talked about the slippery slope because one of our patients, he's a snowbird, talks about his chiropractor has him sit on like that wobble pillow, right?
Mhm.
And he goes, how come you don't use that? I said, well, they tell you what, it warms the disc up. He said, yeah. I said, you walked from the car to here. That warmed the disc up. I said,
Yeah.
pull up your EOB and watch how much they're charging you to sit on that pillow.
Mm.
Came back a week later. He's like, son of a gun, you're right. They were charging him a fee. He goes, they're charging me to sit down. And I said, what does that tell you? They're
Sure.
lacking integrity. They see me as a dollar sign. He was like, shit. I said, yeah. And I think those things cause hemorrhoids. He goes, I got hemorrhoids now. Do they really? And I was like, I'm just joking. You don't need that crap.
And it's not funny, but like it's true. Like they are charging him to sit in a chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just I don't get it, man. I just do not get. And like I know everybody makes mistakes. We are all sinners. Nobody's perfect. But that willful disobedience is different.
Willful
Disobedience.
disobedience.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
you know it's wrong. Somebody's even called you out and be like, "Hey, listen, you shouldn't be doing that." And you say, "Yeah, I know it's wrong, and I'm going to do it anyway." I think that's a different level.
Yeah. That's spot on, my man. And it's one of the things, and this is the first time it came through when I spoken and we were talking about what a mixer is to the kids, right?
Hmm.
And the big language in our profession is unity, right? Like we're not going to have complete unity, not with a philosophy of life. Like it, and you
No.
know what? It's okay. And
Yeah.
mixing is really, and this is what I said, it's just weak men.
Yeah.
But that's not a derogatory comment. It's okay because we're all weak. And I think if we could wake up and realize that and say, okay, but what is that doing to the future of the profession? What's that doing to these little kids? There was a row of third quarter students. And I'm like, what is that doing to their future? Because they've got another 3 years, 4 years of school left. When they get out into their chiropractors, that maybe they won't be able to practice chiropractic anymore because they're going to be roped in with physical therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. And physical therapy's great.
It's
Like
awesome.
we take care of a lot of, but it's not chiropractic,
No.
and chiropractic's not physical. They're not the same at all.
And they don't have to be. There's why. Why would you want to be? Be a
Mm-mm.
chiropractor, be a physical therapist. I have an amazing physical therapist that we refer to in Connecticut. And I found one for down here. We talked about it. The one's taking care of Sierra. And they were blessed to find out that I don't do physical therapy. They're like, we think you're the first chiropractor around here not to do any physical therapy. So now
Yeah.
they're sending me people.
Yeah, it's to me, it's just it makes sense. It's
Yeah.
like we all know where Marietta Diner is. If you don't, it's been on diners and drive-ins a lot of times. Their
Yeah.
menu is probably 10 pages thick.
It's
Huge
insane.
menu. It's good food. It's edible. It's not bad food. But
Right.
if you want a pizza at the diner, it's terrible compared to a real pizzeria that only does pizza.
And I can't have too many options. My brain is limited. Like I have to dial in and focus on one thing, maybe two. My wife is blessed that she could focus on 10 things at once and get nine
Hmm.
and a half of them done. But for me, it's like I can't have, I go to a Mexican restaurant. There's too much on the menu. And I remember once she took me to one of her friends managed a Mexican restaurant in Connecticut, and I was ordering a quesadilla. I'm like, I can't look at all this. And he was appalled. He's like, he's Mexican. He ran the restaurant. He said, I got you. I'm going to make you a dish. He came out with this dish with rice and chicken and some fish, and it was insane. He goes, this is real food, not the quesadilla. I can't read. I don't have the brain power to break down every little thing that's on that freaking menu. Just tell me what's the best thing. And that's why a lot of times we go to these new restaurants. I'm like, what are you known for? What are your top three dishes?
Yeah,
And the one where I see them raise their voice and they get a little excited about, I'm like, I'll take that.
yeah, yeah. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
It just keep it simple.
Yep.
We don't need to complicate it. We don't need to complicate life. We don't need to complicate practice. Don't need to complicate anything. Keep it simple. Hard bone, soft nerve, and adjustment corrects that. And then life, health, and vitality come back.
If we could teach our patients that every time they sit in traffic, think
Hmm.
that thought you just said. It'll trigger their memory and stay in their consciousness forever. It's the same thing as an atlas subluxation. Because I
Hmm.
know I always wonder who's the first car in front of all this traffic causing all this? There's got to be a car the first in line in front of it all. And if they
Yeah,
just sped up more and everybody sped up more, we'd all be moving faster. The blockage is what's stopping it. And a lot of times it's our consciousness and our thought process that creates the blockage. A lot of times it's a car pulled over on the side of the road, or it's an accident that's pulled over on the side of the road. And everybody is slowing down to just look, to
yeah,
just glance, instead of focus on your own life and just keep going.
yeah, yep. Just rubbernecking.
Yeah.
Just rubbernecking. And like, it don't matter what's going on over there. The cop's
Right.
got it handled. You
Right.
focus on your driving and don't hit the cop on the side of the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like stay in your lane, keep your eyes forward, 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. Let's go.
You know what cops are doing in Florida now is they're sitting on the side, and if you don't pull away from them into the middle lane to go around them, they're pulling people over and giving tickets.
Yep.
It's the
Yep.
don't be nosy.
Yep. Move
Like, get out of
over.
their way. Safety. Be clear.
Yep. I know somebody got a ticket for that the other day, and
Yep.
just move over.
That's
It
it.
doesn't matter if they have anybody pulled over, like whatever. If they're there, and I do that for tractor trailers,
Oh yeah.
motorcycles, whoever. If they're over there, I just move over
Yeah. Yeah.
because I don't know how I could live if somebody stepped out and I hit them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Two
But you know
biggest
when we
roadblocks, your mindset and the Atlas subluxation. Take care of those, you'll change your entire life.
It does, and if we get a little resistance on the road we're taking, some of the first things we want to do is take an easier path. Take
Yeah.
drift off a little,
Yeah.
drift off.
Yeah.
But we can't. We got to stay focused on the main thing, on the principle, on taking care of people, on removing vertebral subluxations.
That's right.
Man,
That's right.
we do that. Shoot, it's game on.
Game on is right, brother. And every student needs to hear this. If they could dial in and find their technique, because we talked about this Saturday, that it suits their personality to detect the subluxation, correct it, know when it's corrected, and know when it needs to be adjusted again, which means when they come back, is it subluxated or not? That's all you need. Be a master at that and watch what happens.
Yep. Yep. And roadblocks so often prepare us for a future responsibility that's coming.
That's right. That's right.
Like your brother Ronnie, you got a roadblock with him.
Yeah.
But then look how that planted the seed for your future now of taking care of people in 7 or 8 different communities with 7 or 8 different offices. It prepares us for another responsibility in the future.
I was journaling on my flight back from Atlanta Sunday, and the guy next to me said, "Are you an author?" And I'm like, "Well, actually, yes." He says, "You writing another book?" I said, "Well, no, I'm actually just debriefing from the weekend. So, like, you know, I can't just go to like the intensive and sit and relax. Like, I get these thought flashes and ideas. What
Mm-hmm.
can we do better? How can we make it better?" So I was writing everything down, right? Because I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to forget it, because I know I'm going to be busy, right? And so we started talking about my book, and I told him I'm a chiropractor. And he asked me, "Did you always want to be a chiropractor?" I said, "No, I actually wanted to be a professional baseball player at one time. And then I tore my rotator cuff and I was done." He goes, "Wow, are you still sad about that? Was that still?" I said, "No." Because if that didn't happen, I said at the time I was devastated. You talk about a roadblock. I didn't watch a baseball game for years.
Mm-hmm.
I refused to play for any softball teams that people asked me for, and I didn't watch any baseball just because I was pissed, right? But now I wake up and look and say, if that didn't happen, because my kids at least once a year said, "Dad, do you ever wish you didn't hurt your arm and you made it to the MLB, right?" And I said, "No, because you guys wouldn't be here today. I never would
Mm-hmm.
have met your mother, and I wouldn't have you 5 kids. Like, that little left-hand turn would have changed the entire trajectory of my life." But here's the key. People listening to this, right now you could be going through chaos, going through a living hell, have all these blockages. Just keep walking forward. Keep a
Yep.
positive attitude. And then you're going to realize a year or two later, wow, that was a blessing.
Yeah, and we may not know it until a year later, 5 years later, 10 years later. But like you said, if you're going through hell, just keep going.
Amen.
You know,
Amen. Yeah, we
and
got a guy, his wife made him start care. And he's a rugged construction guy. And last Thursday, he sits up. He says, "Can I ask you something? It's a little personal." I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "I didn't want to come here. I didn't believe in this." He goes, "But happy wife, happy life. So I came." He said, "Is this the reason why I'm dreaming again?" And I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Yeah." I said, "What are you dreaming about?" He said, "About my childhood and my mother. His mother died when he was young,
Yeah.
and he's been battling that emotionally."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "And now she's coming to me in my dreams." And I said, and I won't say his name. I said, "But yes, this is the reason, because your body's opening up and you're innate." And we talked about innate, and the thought flashes and the voice within are talking to you now. And it's your mom coming to you saying, "It's okay. I love you. You got to move on." And he started to cry, bro. His eyes got all welled up, and he's a tough dude. And he just said, "Well, thank you. And I'm glad I listened to my wife." And he walked out.
That's awesome.
You can't make that up, man.
No, and trying to rationalize that, we know subluxations occur because of our inability to adapt to
Right.
physical, chemical, or emotional stress. Sounds like that fella's got tons of emotional stress.
100%.
And then inability to adapt to that created subluxation. Get that corrected, He can adapt to that emotional stress. And when you're
Yeah.
adapting, you're healing. And now he's healing through the loss of his mom.
Amen. You know, people, you open up the floodgates, you remove that major blockage, right? The
Uh-huh.
atlas, all else follows. And
Yeah.
as doctors, we don't do the healing. Patients
Mm,
love that. They realize, I'm like, this is all on you. This
yeah.
thing opens up. My job's to manage it and make sure it stays clear. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep. That's it, man. Like we've got it so simple and boiled down to what we do not do, what works, what doesn't work. And that's the only way you can see volume like we do.
Yeah.
You
Well,
can't
yeah.
see volume doing a lot of other stuff,
No, no,
you know.
no.
And the per visit, we could make a whole lot more money. Somebody told me a few weeks ago, "Oh, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. You should do decompression. You should do this fat loss laser thing. You should do all this stuff. You're leaving money on the table." But I'm not going to leave my pride, my principle, or my character on the table either. I'm going to
Yeah.
stick to what I know is true.
There's always that moment at night when the head hits the pillow and I do a debrief of my day and say my prayer and get in the state of gratitude
Mm-hmm.
that I'm proud that I didn't prostitute myself in any area of my life. And that's not to say it's easy or you never get challenged with temptation because they're always there.
Yeah.
You know, for someone to look you in the eye and say, "Do you want me to show you how to make more money?" Well, you'd be dumb to just say no. Well, of course, but not the way you want to teach me. Dr.
Mm,
Sid said, see more new patients. Well,
yeah.
that's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot of work changing people's lives,
It
but
is.
it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yep. Yeah, and it's a lot of emotional baggage that we take on sometimes because we worry about people, we love them, we see them struggle. We don't want that, and it's heavy sometimes.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's heavy. It's heavy a lot.
yeah, I mentioned this before that it was so crazy. Like we had a new mom come in, brand new mom, first baby, so great. Everybody's all around the baby, and then see this other mom pull up who had just lost hers, and trying to juggle that at the same time. We're so happy for this one, tears of joy for this one, and then this other one still, congratulating the mom on her baby. And then she leaves, and then there's weeping for the loss of that one.
It's the cycle of life, brother.
I know. And it's, you know, a heavy burden some days, but it's such a blessing to be there for these people.
You know, for those that have read Wake Up Humans, there's a little girl at my office in Connecticut, and she's in high school now. And when we lost Lily, and we were in the hospital, and Tammy, you know, we went through the whole process. And when it was all done, Tammy was chilling out, and she fell asleep. I went downstairs to get a cup of coffee. When I came back up, one of my patient's husband came walking out of the maternity, and he goes, "Dr. Steve, hey," 'cause his wife was pregnant at the same time. And he said, "We just had a baby girl." I said, "Congratulations." He said, "Wait a minute, you guys have?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, we're here right now." And I gave him a hug and I just kind of blew it off. I don't want to say anything. So he went back upstairs and he go back inside and was talking to his wife later. And she put two and two together. She goes, "Tammy wasn't done for several weeks from now." And
Yeah.
she knew. So there's always been a special bond. But there was that moment of
Yeah.
their baby was just born on this earth. My baby was just lifted to heaven.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that. Like I was pissed off at the world. I was angry, but you can't change it. Like the
Yeah.
roadblock is if I held on to it, or what if I felt so sorry for myself that I started telling him this story and the poor guy just had his second baby,
Mhm.
right? That's
Yeah.
just life, man. Life sucks. You're going to hit roadblocks. You're going to go through down times. Shit's going to happen. But by the grace of God, you have some faith that's going to all make sense to you in 2 months or 2 years, somewhere in the
Yep.
middle.
Yep. And it's hard to say no. I'm not going to go down that road of self destruction.
Yeah, no,
I'm not going to do that.
no.
I'm going to stick this out. I know my purpose in this life, and my purpose is not to throw it away.
Well, when your purpose is to wake up humans to their passion and purpose, to serve others, to alleviate others' heartaches, to help them find love in their life, you attract the same for yourself. And if you could keep that hat on and hold on to that concept and not feel sorry for yourself, and like Dr. Sid always taught us, lose yourself in service, which is exactly what I did. I went back in the office that Monday and adjusted people. And I didn't tell anyone about it, but those that knew, I mean, I'd be crying on and off as the day went And if a patient said, "Hey, you okay? What's up?" I said, "Yeah, we just had a sad thing with a patient." They're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We'll pray for them. Thank you." Because I don't want to stand there and tell the whole story, right? And then there were patients who didn't know for weeks when all of a sudden they say, "Wait a minute, Amy, is that why you were crying in the office? Yeah, why didn't you tell me?" Because I had
Hmm.
people to take care of. We had a couple hundred coming in that day, and I couldn't stand there crying about my problem. As brutal as that sounds, we had work to do.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
insane to hear myself say that right now, to be honest with you, bro.
I know it's but that's what servants do. That's what servants do. That's lasting purpose of giving, loving, serving, doing.
Yep,
But then that
yep.
doesn't mean when you got home that you didn't have all that time with Tammy either.
Yeah, right. 100%.
Like
Well, people say, well, how'd you do that? Well, I had years of going to DE under my belt, years of hearing speakers share stories, talk, when something happens, a better way to act, lose yourself in service, get quiet, fast, pray, get adjusted, get clear. I
hmm
had a lot of teachers that I sat and listened to. And when the shit hit the fan, I said, okay, this is what I need to do. This is what they taught me. And by the grace of God, I showed up for years to learn. That's why we talk about DE, shedding the husks. You
Yep.
could easily say, remove your roadblocks,
Yep. Yep. It's all the same analogy. Like get rid of the thing that's holding you back,
right? Yeah,
whatever that is,
yeah.
whatever that is. And instead of going around a roadblock to go find the easy path, you do like these Army Rangers and Green Berets where they get a rope, they climb up over the wall and come back down.
I love that analogy, bro.
Yeah.
I love that analogy.
You
It's a
don't go
beautiful
around it.
thing. Well, listen, if you want to learn how to open up the mental roadblocks and find your heart in chiropractic, you come to Dynamic Essentials. It's the place to be. Our next meeting, we're in what now? March, second week of March.
Yep.
We're a
It'll
couple
be
weeks out. We're April in Clearwater.
Yeah, April 16th to the 19th, Clearwater, Florida, lifede.com. And even if you're not a chiropractor, you can benefit from coming to Dynamic Essentials because it is about becoming aware, humble, and obedient to the voice of God inside. And when you do that, you become dynamic, and that is essential to every success you'll ever have.
Man, drop the keys on that. And listen, will be a shout out to all our listeners. Thank you. We just got a notice from Livingston. We're the number one listened to chiropractic health program, is how they list it, podcast wise, which is freaking awesome with the
Yep.
number of, I think they call them downloads, is how they register it, something like
hmm
that. So thank you. Keep sharing it. Let's get the word out there and let's start educating our patients on a higher level on how to change their life with real chiropractic.
That's it. That's it, brother. We love you. We appreciate you.
Ditto,